First of all, I would like to say congratulations for scoring 730 on your GMAT. I'm sure you'll be very happy about it. So to begin with, tell me, what's your educational background and what's your work experience?
Yeah, sure. So I graduated in 2019 from Emory University's Koisweda Business School. I graduated with a bachelor's in business administration, and I specialized in strategy and management consulting, information systems and operations management, and international business. So while I was there, I had a couple of internships where I worked in tech startups and consulting firms. So got a whole range of experience. And after graduating, I worked for about 8 months at a consulting firm in DC that had clients at the unique trisector of social, private, and government clients, which was really interesting. And then I unfortunately had to move back to India because of the pandemic. But since then, I've been working with my father in our family business, which is a real estate development company.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's nice. That's very interesting. And when did the idea of GMAT occur to you? And why did you consider even doing an MBA?
So, I've been thinking about the GMAT for a while, but it only really occurred to me to start studying and actually take it seriously once I moved back because I had a lot of time and I knew that I wanted to do a master's. So, I'm actually not considering an MBA at the moment since my work experience isn't as much as I'd like it to be for an MBA. So, I'm considering a master's in management.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I've been thinking about it for a while. I knew that after undergrad I wanted to do a postgrad education, but I really started considering the GMAT back in April.
Okay, so
Yeah,
just when you were back. So that's
yeah.
the
Once
time
I
when
came
you.
back.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, okay.
exactly.
That's nice. And how did you get to know about Crack Verbal and which course did you opt for? And could you tell us like what was the reason of joining to that particular course here in Crack Verbal?
Sure. Yeah. So when I first started looking into GMAT prep and studying, I found that I was a little bit underprepared on the quant side, especially. Like it had been a long time since I'd done any math, since my undergrad degree wasn't in anything math heavy. So I was looking for something or some course or somebody who could help me with the quant side of things, basically.
Mhm.
And I was looking at courses basically at the time, I didn't know how long the pandemic would last. I was hoping to do in person classes. And I found a whole range of courses online, Magoosh, EGMAT, like all these courses, but none of them had the one to one element, like the access to faculty or like on demand live classes. And as I was doing my research, I found Crack Verbal, saw it on GMAT Club as well, heard good reviews. I spoke to Shubham a couple of times to understand a bit more. And then I
Mhm.
decided to opt for the on demand classes, the online on demand classes, because I thought the teaching style was really great. So I attended a few classes before I signed up just as a trial. And I liked that, I could do both math, like verbal and quant on the weekends, and then have the whole week to practice or
So
take
this is
notes.
basically the live at home classes, right? Which you
Yes,
used to
correct.
usually attend during the weekends and prepare during the weekend as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry, I said on demand. I meant
Oh
live.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
But it
okay.
was also great having like access to the videos if I ever missed anything or like
Yes.
wanted to revisit something. So I thought the platform was great. And
Mhm.
also at the time when everything was transitioning online, I thought Crackverbal was one of the ones with the most established platforms. Like a lot of the other ones that I looked into, they were still creating that digital presence and
Mhm.
figuring out how to transition to online. But Crackverbal already had it, which made it easier
Yeah.
for me to sign up. Yeah,
Thank you so much.
yeah.
And how did your how did the GMAT preparation process started after you joined Crackverbal? Like, if you could just throw some light towards your preparation, how did it give a structure to you? So, if you could just share a few highlights on the same, it would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So with Crack Verbal, they give you a study guide and a study plan if you want, and they also give you a mentor if you need any help at any time. If you also need help with faculty or any specific problems, you can always email, which I really liked. So once I started, I was attending the classes every weekend. So my weekends were pretty heavy with the classes. And then after that, in the weeks, I knew what homework I had to do after those classes. So I had some structure to go off of and, know exactly which questions I had to do. Alongside, I also was making my own notes because that's personally how I like to study, and how my brain absorbs things. So I was making my notes. I was, going back to the videos once they were posted to see if I had misunderstood something, then I could revisit it. So that was a really great structure because there was a timeline, and I knew, after 8 weeks or 10 weeks, I would have covered all the content. Then I can focus on practice problems and practice tests. Additionally, with help from the faculty, they told me when to start taking the mock tests, like after you finish, say, 50% or 70% of quant or verbal, then you can start taking the mock test so you have a better idea of where you're lacking. Um, and one thing that I really appreciated that Crack Verbal provided was the error log. I think that was great in tracking where I was going wrong, whether I was making mistakes in the medium questions or hard questions and which topics. So, yeah, a lot of material resources and structure, definitely.
Okay, great. And like which GMAT section, like you said about the process of learning, which GMAT section did you find the most challenging? And what is the strategy that you have implemented to maybe push that score or score better in that section? And how did the Crack Verbal faculty's expertise help in you in those, building around the strategies and trying to imply them and work it out? So, which that particular section was it really tough, and you felt like this strategy has really helped me through? Yeah.
So I personally thought quant was difficult for me. I
Yeah.
was lacking area. My verbal was pretty strong from the beginning, but quant, I, was refreshing all my concepts, and sometimes I didn't get certain concepts. So um, I actually took a lot of help from Arvind Sir. We would have calls pretty frequently. I would sign up for sessions with him where I would discuss my queries. So, based on my mock tests and my error log, based on that, I would send him the information. He would kind of gauge where I was going wrong, tell me how I could improve, which was really, really helpful. And two things that helped me a lot with quant was um, the quant review, like the quant review book, OG quant review, and 800 score tests that Arvind sir recommended. So the 800 score tests were, the quant sections were a little tougher than the regular GMAT OG questions, which I thought gave me a little bit of a boost in, doing the easier questions for OG. And for the OG review, quant review, he suggested that I pick 31 questions at random, time myself, and just do those questions for like 2 weeks. I just did that every day, and it really helped me manage my time and also, pick up patterns of where I was going wrong or patterns in questions. So those were two things that really boosted my confidence in quant.
That's great. So, like you mentioned, right, maybe by 70-80% of your portion, you were suggested by the faculty to take mocks and start reflecting on where you stand. So, in particular, on those lines, I would like to know how did you go about the mock test? Like, how did the test help you? Did it help you to understand where you stand, and how did you, take that as an opportunity to plan your further steps more uh, accurately?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think the mock tests were probably the most helpful resource for me, even more than the official guide, because they give you exactly the structure and testing conditions as the actual test, as they're meant to. So I started in the early stages with my first diagnostic test. I got a miserable score. It was 600, and I remember being really scared. I was like, oh no, like, what am I going to do? But as I started finishing more of the classes from Crack Verbal, I began taking more and slowly started seeing my scores increase. I actually ended up buying all of the official mock tests because I thought they were the best way for me to practice. And towards the end of my prep, when I, had exhausted all the practice questions and studied all the content, I was doing the mock tests, every couple of days, sometimes taking the test for the second time, so doing each test twice, even though the second time it was a little bit inflated, obviously, taking that with a grain of salt. I took it as though I was taking the test, so no pausing, no going back, nothing, just like taking it as though I was taking the test, which really helped build my stamina. So I knew exactly what to expect on test day.
Nice, that's nice. Did you take the online test or the test center GMAT exam?
I actually took it online.
The online, that is from home, right? Okay. So could you please share some experience you had during the day of your exam day experience? How did you think the exam was going to be and how was it actually? So if you could just...
Yeah, sure. So I was understandably pretty nervous before the exam, but on test day, I'll first go through my actual test and then what I did on test day. For the actual test, it was pretty much how I expected, except that I didn't have any verbal contact with the proctor, so it was all chat. I, for some reason, expected some verbal contact, but it was all online, very seamless, very quick. Like, I actually logged on a little bit earlier and I was able to start it a bit earlier. They tell you all the prompts to do, like when to show the whiteboard front and back, when you can leave and take a break. I didn't end up taking a break, but they give you all the prompts. So it was very seamless, much more seamless than I expected. So it was a great experience doing it online. And for test day, previous day, I didn't do anything, like no GMAT prep, just relaxed. Day of, I started my day with a workout, just ate some food, showered, and then ended up doing, I think, about 12 to 15 questions, just a couple of questions from each section. So I could warm up my brain and get into the mode of GMAT. And had lunch, had some time to breathe before the exam, and then just sat for the exam and did it.
That's great. Okay. Now that you've achieved a great GMAT score, what is that you would like to tell the GMAT aspirants out there?
I think something that I personally faced was never feeling 100% ready. So I would say if you even feel 90% ready, just sign up, take it, because you can always take it again. Yeah. I think that's like, there's nothing to lose unless you're obviously in like a huge deadline crunch. But if you have ample time and you want a good score, just take it, see how you do it again. Another thing that I would say is it isn't about how much you study, but how you study. So I was initially putting in a lot of time, maybe even unnecessary time, doing like several questions a day, but not really analyzing my responses to them. But then after speaking with faculty, like I spoke with Srilina once, I spoke with Arvind Sir multiple times, all of them said, quality matters. So, do 5 questions, but understand why you went wrong, how you can improve those things. If you're noticing any areas that you're lacking in, spend time doing those. Don't try to cover everything. Just, build on your weaknesses. So that's what I would tell.
Brilliant. Yeah. And what is your next plan? Like, have you started applying for a master's program?
Yes, I have just applied to one school as of now, and I'm currently working on a couple of other applications. But yeah, I'm in the process of applying to MIM programs in the UK mostly. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay, I wish you all the best, Shivangi.
Thank you.